I can't learn that music. It's very annoying. At some point, I think I'm gonna
Just send you the clip for it. So
every time I think, oh, I'll come off and I'll be able to whistle it perfectly. It's like, no, it sounds nothing like it was on there. Anyway, my whistling and tuneful failings aside, hello, welcome to HR Breakfast USA episode 17, 18? 17, it's 17. I got it in one. Great. Episode 17. And you'll notice the middle slither of the team, the pillar, the glue that holds me and Callie together, Sam, is not here. I believe Sam is traveling somewhere on a
she's airplane. On an airplane right now.
So won't even be watching. How rude. So Sam, if you're watching this, I hope you're watching the recording. This is the test. Sam, if you're watching the recording, please tag us in the comments so we know that you're watching. And then if Sam doesn't tag us in the comments, we know that she's only committed when she's on the show. This could go spectacularly wrong if she doesn't do that. So we thought we'd shake things up. We're going to do things a little bit differently. But before we get into that, I just want to, because at the end of the last show, I was supposed to give a shout out to someone, and I completely forgot. It took you like 90 seconds to the one you sent me the message about. So I just want to give another massive shout out to Kirsty Baggs Morgan, who's creating the search engine for HR providers called Evolving HR. And is, as a result of the phenomenal success of that search engine, is doing two really cool things. She's making an app out of it, very cool, and running a conference over here in the UK in Manchester. So if you find yourself in Manchester, England, at the end of November next year, then you need to come to the conference because it's going to be flipping awesome. I'm helping her design it. There's some really cool stuff in there. So, Evolving HR plug aside, it's kind of trying to smooth over the cracks that I left at the end of the last episode.
The best part is that she was actually watching when all of that went down. That was my favorite part of all of it.
Because I said I'll give you a shout out on the show. I think she was watching, waiting for me to give her a shout out, and I completely forgot. Anyway, we've done it at the end of one episode, the beginning of another. We've done it. I'll do it in the middle next time. Let's do that. So, because there's only two of us, Callie, we talked at the end of the last episode, what are we going to do without Sam? Without our guide that kind of sherpas the conversation between us two into something coherent.
Keeps us on track.
Yeah, we need a replacement for Sam. What is the thing that's going to keep us on track? And we had a little bit of think, and we both talked about these. The Freeformers. What if conversation starters for forward-thinking HR teams deck? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a game. We're going to see what's in this deck, and we're going to use these to drive our conversation today until we hit about 30 minutes, and then we'll get off air. So I'm going to open the deck, and I want a full disclosure. Look, I'm taking them out of the deck now. We haven't predetermined which cards we're going to talk about. So this could be magic or terrible. As I was saying to Callie before, actually, so me and my business partner Emily, we played this at a train station, and one card lasted 45 minutes. So they have the potential to go on a bit, but we won't do that. I'm going to just take out a few cards.
We might do that. That's kind of what we would exactly do.
Without Sam here to kind of go, guys, wrap this up. Yeah, it definitely could go. It could go on there. These decks are really cool. Have I shown you this?
Instructions that you provide that we should quickly know about? Sorry,
to
cut off your.
Yeah, no. Here, let's get that. Oh, that's
kind of.
Because why it's slightly out of focus?
Yeah, it's not focusing. Okay, so just Cliff Notes version.
This card game works best if you're relaxed, curious, and open-minded. Check. You take a moment to reflect before launching to a response. Check. You don't immediately shut down the conversation even if you think the concept won't work. So they're the rules. There's the rules. Have I shown you this card, Callie?
I'm sorry. You did show me, but I cut you off while you were showing everyone else. It's
cool. This is when you get the card game. If you have nobody to play with, you can fold it into a paper airplane, throw it at someone in your office to try and start that conversation. That's my favorite card, although I'm not going to fold that up because this deck will probably go to someone at some point. Okay, Callie, you're going to just tell me when to stop, okay? When you say stop, I'm going to pick a card. I'm just going to flick through them, so it's going to be, you have to do it within 2 seconds, okay? 3, 2, 1.
Stop.
Okay, and that card is... What if, we did an episode on this, what if we carried on communicating with our employees once they left us? What would the world look like if we did that? How would we do it? I mean, first of all, like your employees have left. How are we going to keep contact with them? How would we do that? It's got to be email, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Please build a post-employee newsletter where you keep them up to date on what they're missing out on by not being there anymore.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Sorry, go on. We need Sam. We keep talking over each other.
Cool. I am not a networking event person. I need to be better at it, but I'm not. But I feel like this is exactly the kind of networking event that one I would actually go to and that people would be excited to go to, because you're not meeting up with a bunch of people you've never met before. You're seeing a bunch of people that have this very specific shared experience with you. So to me, I think that like the best place to start would be maybe, I guess, use your emails that you have to send an email letting them know that you're going to start doing regular networking events, and then have some structure. Not like structured networking events are kind of the worst, but having some structure around it to help engage the audience and how can we make this beneficial for you, or do some announcements on what is your new thing that you're doing, because maybe you're now 1 or 2 or 3 places past what you were when you started with this company, so that we can celebrate those wins and really stay connected on what's going on. Where does your brain go?
Now it just goes to that. I can't get that out of my head because that's such a cool idea. Like, there's only one of the companies I used to work for organizes like get-togethers with former employees, and they're kind of taken a back seat. Either they've taken a back seat now, or I'm just not invited. Hey, that guy's got 2 kids now. He's not going to come out for a beer after work. Don't even send him the invite. But that's such a so it kind of happened informally. From a company I used to work at, we had those get-togethers. But honestly, it was more because of the collective trauma than like, and we all liked each other as well. I thought they did until they stopped inviting me, apparently. So that opportunity to keep connected is really like, is always there. Like, people are always doing it, but no one manages that. And that's the other thing, right? Is that these get-togethers that I've had with previous employees of an employer happened because there was like 1 or 2 people that made it happen.
Yeah.
But the employer had nothing to do with it. But current employees and past employees were there all together, and you're just like, actually, there's quite a lot of cool conversation. Like, networking is a really good point that you hit on there. That if you could turn those into networking events, they become mutually beneficial for everyone, right? Because as we know, everybody knows, networking is the way to get business done. Really, like, since I started networking much harder than I've ever done in my life in the past year, like, I've had so many more interesting conversations, learned so much more, started working with new people, yourself included, right? The conversation that started with an octopus. You have to refer to a previous episode. We're not going to go through that whole story again.
Yeah, go back and catch up.
But like, we're now doing cool stuff together, different things than we were a year ago as a result of networking. So yeah, those employees that have gone can help your business, but also vice versa, right? Those networking events come mutually beneficial. And you know what? For like a company putting a couple of £100 behind a bar or a cafe or a restaurant or wherever, I think that's really cool. Way over above my initial response is like, yeah, send them all an email. Just do an email every now and again. It's enough.
Well, and I love that gives you an opportunity to potentially bring people back too, right? Like, you can announce, these are our positions that we're looking for right now. One, do you know anybody? Or maybe, you've had someone leave, they're now coming back in a more senior capacity, and you gain that background back again.
Absolutely. We just had a hey from Harrison Cantel. Hey, back at you, buddy. Welcome to the stream. If anybody has just joined us, I think Harrison's only just joined us in the past 2 minutes. The question we're answering today, and please do put it in chat if you have a response, is what would we do? What if we carried on communicating with our employees once they left? What would that look like? The response I gave was email. The response Callie gave was awesome networking events. I think there's a clear winner in this conversation. I'm really struggling to come up with anything better. Here's one. Oh, look at that. A lower thirds. Hey, everybody, if you want to know what, it's right here. Woo, woo, woo. On-screen graphics, incredibly distracting for me. The like ex-employee of the month. So you might have like employee of the month. Imagine if you had ex-employee.
I
of the
love
month.
that so much. Like I like the idea of being employee of the month is something that makes me like my heart hurt. Like I have no interest in that, but being ex-employee of the month is just weird enough where I might actually get excited about that.
That's quite funny because then you're like, I would definitely tell like previous employers, are like, hey, I've done this really cool thing this month. Can I be ex-employee of the month? And then like even like because Christmas parties are a thing, and you have these big corporate get-together or these company get-togethers. It's like, actually, do you invite past and present? And depending on what the nature of what the past employee was, right? There's got to be a fine balance. But maybe it's actually that as your company grows, and this probably only works for smaller companies or for your team, right? As your company grows or your team grows, like your events become bigger and better. And I think that feels really nice.
Yeah.
Spending Christmas with my ex-employer. Interesting. Would work for some, wouldn't attend for others, but we'll leave that one at the door. Is there anything else you think of doing?
I mean, I think the combination of the two makes the most sense,
Yeah.
right? And if anyone out there is looking to do this, hire Toby and I. We'll get it set up for you. This would be so much fun.
Do many referral recruitment referral things happen or still carry on once you've left? I think most of them only happen while you're at the company, right?
Oh yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I love the idea of
yeah, that should carry on past you working there, right? That you should be
100%.
rewarded. Yeah, like if it's a great like, and there are previous employers that I've worked for that I've definitely recommended people work for. You know, like you should go over there. This will give you the right experience and stuff you need.
Yeah. If you guys have ideas, please throw them in the chat. Harrison, this is a shout out to you. We know you're here and chatting, so give us.
He's incredibly creative as well. Like Harrison should be able to come up with something pretty cool. Okay, that's interesting. I think there becomes loads of opportunity as we've talked about. Let's dig in and data for a second. A load of measurement in that as well, because you know, once an employee's left, how engaged with they are with you as an employer? You know, are they attending the events? Are they reading it? Hang on, let's start with the first one. Are they reading and opening the emails? Are they clicking through to things that you're sending them? Are they interested or not? Are they coming to these events? Are they referring people? This becomes a really great way to measure the impact of your role as an employer after they've left.
Well, I'm guilty of this. I have a group of like 5 of us who worked together 8 years ago who keep saying we're going to get together and hang out. And we keep saying that, and we mean it. We do actually want to hang out. It's not just something you say, but building that into all of our schedules isn't going to happen. So if it's just like, hey, let's meet up at the next quarterly post wherever networking event, like that's brilliant. You make things infinitely easier for people to actually take that action when they want to.
Yeah, you know when it's going to happen. It's diarized. Someone else has organized it. Yeah, because you're right. But like, oh yeah, I'll definitely get together. Like, I wouldn't meet up. I'll be quite honest. Like with my friendship group, with some of them, naming no names, none are on LinkedIn. It's fine. But like things would not happen if I didn't organize it. So we're going to wrestling in September. Like, if I'd not messaged people and said, this is what we're doing on this day and this is happening, they would not come because they just forget about it and they wouldn't organize it. So having someone else do it is a savvy move for sure.
I think that's a great time. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
you pick this time. You stop
it. Okay. I'm going to close my eyes and go, this card. I think this is going to be the same card. No, it's not. Okay, that works. Okay, Callie's going to get ready to type this. I'll say it very slowly so you can type it. What if, ... we wanted to be seen as a money-making, not a risk-avoiding department? Remembering that this is the Human Resources edition, not the Business Leader edition.
Not a risk what?
Avoiding department. Because that's quite common, right? HR is perceived as like the risk avoidance department. We mitigate the risk of having employees with your company. Interesting. How so? You to try and make a HR team money making. How would you monetize HR?
So the one that I've been freaking out about lately, we maybe have talked about this, but on-site daycare generates revenue for the business, right? Like, not only is it incredibly impactful, I mean, maybe not for you specifically in the UK, you guys obviously have different resources than we do, but in the United States, you're basically putting a business within a business. And so you increase tenure, but you also pay for itself, or it pays for itself, and it gives you up to $150,000 in tax benefit. So that's the one that I can't get over why no one's doing it. And by no one, I mean virtually no one from a statistical standpoint, because it's got to be less than 1% of businesses do it.
That's crazy.
You're literally putting a business within a business, and you have $150,000 buffer to make it successful. And people stay I think it's a minimum of like 25% longer when they have that resource.
People go to the office more. Like, not that I'm advocating for the get everybody back into the office 5 days a week mantra, but certainly there is some evidence and vibe that means actually going to the office as a collective of people has a positive impact on well-being and productivity. But that kind of gives you the impetus to do that. That would be pretty incredible. And it's
and I don't even care if you're like sending people back to the office, right? Like, you could go drop your kid off there. Finding a daycare spot is really hard. Like, I don't even care where you send the employee after they drop off that kid. Having a high quality place to bring your kid is so huge right now. Ugh.
It's the same in the UK, right? There's limited places, limited funding. No one wants to run nursery because it's just like really stressful. So yeah, you solve a lot of problems that way. And I know Emily, my business partner, her husband works on like a business park, and there's loads of companies that work there, and they have a daycare on the business park, and you're like, why isn't everybody doing that? Like, that just makes sense. It's like, what is, and I suppose that's so clever. What is it? You kill two birds with one stone, in that you are alleviating a major pain point for employees in that being a parent and sending kids to nursery is difficult and expensive. But then you're also generating revenue out of that as well. That's like, why wouldn't you do that?
That's where I'm
at. Okay.
I don't understand
going on the journey.
Why more people aren't figuring this out.
Some people just hate kids. Maybe that's it.
That's it.
But like, IKEA does it. So IKEA, I don't know if IKEA in the US does this, but if you go to IKEA, you can drop your kids off in like a play area that's like staffed, and then you can just walk around for IKEA for 2 hours and shop in peace. Because I'll be honest,
in peace.
Yeah, most 4-year-olds don't want to look at flat back furniture. Believe it or not, they don't want to do that, right? But it's that. So IKEA have caught on to it, that it's like, well, this is something we can offer, and it probably will. It will make people happier, more relaxed, have a better experience. Like, cool. Wouldn't you want all those things for your employees at work as well? It kind of just makes sense, right? What was the thing I came to? The thing I came to was that there are kind of a previous employer almost got this so right, but it was so undesirable that I don't think anyone would buy it. But it was that to create a training offering for their employees that was so good that they could then sell it to other companies. It's like, that's actually pretty smart. If you've got a training team, learning and development team that's creating stuff, why not try and sell that to other companies that probably have the same challenges? Now, the only problem was the learning and training materials are pretty... So it's like, you can't monetize poop.
You have to be good at it.
Yeah, it's just like, let's sell these courses. And you're like, why? Who's going to buy them? So you have to have something pretty good, right? A nursery is it couldn't be a rubbish nursery. Like, no. It has to be. And this is the whole thing about employee experience, right? It has to for it to be successful and have an impact, it has to be consumer grade, because like, employees as customers are just way too savvy, and the experience of stuff outside the world of work is so much better often than inside. So you can't deliver a substandard nursery just because it's like, it's a workplace nursery. So, we'll just put like a pit of spikes and some knives and forks over there and they can just play with those. It has to be a genuinely nice nursery. The same thing for any like training offering that you create that then sell on to other companies. It's like got to be desirable and wanted and good. So making stuff as a HR team and then selling it to your own employees, though, because there's just like this stupid movement of money between like tax and paying and all this kind of stuff that you kind of solve there.
You've had that, right? Where they're like, hey, we're going to just design this really cool sweatshirt. It's only $25 if you want to buy it. Like, why would I pay my own money for a shirt that has your name on it? That's ridiculous.
Sweatshirt, like that's. But is that because like universities do it, right? So universities have like sweatshirts and scarves and merch. Sure. And then you think, oh yeah, companies want that. And like, I have company merch from companies I've worked for before. I have no desire once I've left to go anywhere near that merchandise whatsoever. Like, why would I do like depending on the employment, I'll have either burnt it or put it in storage. They're the two options. It's like, because the third option is wear it, and that ain't happening.
I think that's a really great metric. Like, start asking on your exit interviews, would you wear our company merch or would you use your water bottle, whatever, after leaving this business? Because that gives you a lot of information about where someone's headspace is at in a very, very innocent question.
Yeah. I just realized we've had a comment from Alex,
really?
who's essentially created his own what if card. Alex has said, imagine if business rates were used to subsidize company incentives like these. Oh, okay. So in reference to what we're talking about, right? So, that's clever. So instead of paying like corporate tax on do you have this in the US? Like you pay tax on property that you have. Yeah, right. So you subsidize it by giving a community benefit. Employee and because it will benefit the communities, right? Because it's its own thing, right? So
with this one, North Dakota actually does that. You don't have to pay property tax on a workplace daycare, if I understand correctly. So some places are doing that specifically, but I love the idea of, and maybe there are places that expand it beyond just like that particular benefit, where if you're providing this cool resource for the community, you've got those really direct benefits.
I love that though, because that's like there's a real problem with people like having office space because like we've got so much office space, we're underutilizing it, it's costing us a fortune, we're not seeing return on investment. Assuming that people sitting in an office is a return on investment on having an office, which I don't think it is, but that's a whole other debate. But you have the opportunity with this space that isn't being used to reimagine what you do with it. And if it can make you money and save you money and make your employees feel better, someone should be doing this, shouldn't they? Someone should be doing this. Like someone out there is thinking about it. So that you go to the space where what was I was working with a brewery chain of pubs. And pubs and bars, right, open at midday usually here in the UK, or if there are Wetherspoons, which is a particularly notable pub chain, they open like 10 a.m. for people who want to have a drink at 10 a.m., which is probably not adding too much value to society. But anyway, they usually open at about 12, lunchtime, all that kind of stuff. So like, what is all that wasted space doing for like 3 hours of a working day? It was like, I kind of said to them, like, why don't you just open it up like as a, like offered training in there, like for either free training for people in the community that need it, or sell training for organizations. Your brand is quite notable. Your business acumen is quite notable. Why don't you deliver amazing training in this space for 3 hours in a morning and then open up as a pub in the afternoon? Like, doesn't that make sense? And so I think there's that whole utilization of space has to be completely reimagined. Otherwise, you're just going to bring people back to the office.
That's a great idea. Do you think, okay, we have 5 minutes left. Do you think we can fit one more question in?
I think we can. I was just thinking, like, we have gone so far on a tangent that we didn't even, like, we have gone past that question almost. But I suppose, let's say HR owns the property. We'll get back to that. But, okay. Oh no, I've bent that card. Okay,
better give that dick to me.
We go, okay, Callie, say stop.
Stop.
Okay. What if we measured performance on output rather than timesheets and annual reviews? I said that quite quick and I forgot you were typing. What if we measured performance on output rather than timesheets and annual reviews? I got the answer for that one. Everyone will be a goddamn sight happier. Performance reviews. I had whilst you're typing. Like I had this conversation with an old company I used to work for. It's like, if you're having to have like annual or even quarterly performance reviews to understand how your people are doing, then you're not doing your job as a leader. Like, three months, better check in, see how my team are doing. Hey guys, how's it going? I had a really shit week a couple of weeks ago. Cool. Well, how are you feeling now? Oh, I kind of got through it. Great stuff. And you're like, surely as a leader, you should have been having that conversation a couple of weeks ago.
Brief tangent on that. How many times have you had to remind someone that they can't bring up something new they've never mentioned during a performance review? I remember having, like, I had several supervisors that I'd have to be like, right, and this is not the time to be talking about that. We should talk about that at another time,
and then
because we've never discussed this before.
That's like, and this is the whole thing about building up to a performance conversation or an annual review. Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't make, the world moves too fast. Work moves too fast for that to be a viable way to measure the productivity or the performance of someone. I don't know why I keep looking at the deck here when you've written it on the screen. Like, just read it off the screen, Toby. It's right there in front of you.
We have to establish measurements. That's the problem, right? Like, if you're going to measure on output, you have to know what that output should look like or what's realistic. And I think we're really bad at realistic expectations, but we're also really bad at putting the work in to be able to measure things appropriately versus putting in time, or do I like how you converse with our team?
And that's where it becomes incredibly subjective, which is every HR or learning team or transformation team, when they've talked about measuring performance, they go, oh, well, the sales team. Everyone always mentions the sales team that's the only team that they can measure performance. It's like, stop being so lazy and try and figure it out. Like, it is possible to try and quantify it in an objective way rather than a subjective. Well, I'm not saying get rid of the subjective opinion, like the subjective approach to performance, but at least you've got to have some objective data in there to kind of back it up. Because, I've had performance conversations where a leader it's the classic meme, right? That, okay, so we rate everybody on a scale of 0 to 5, but no one ever gets 5, because if we give everyone 5, we've got to give everybody bonuses. So, like, the amount of times I got like 4s, and it's like, why can't I have a 5? I was like, oh, no one ever gets a 5. Then why have a 5?
I could go off on so many tangents about that.
But what I didn't have, and this was considered my fault as well. It's like, well, you don't have the data. You don't have the data to back that up. It's like, you have not created the ecosystem at work for me to have any data and that kind of stuff. Like, you're the boss. Like, how are you measuring my performance? Oh, just on like how I feel today and what the vibe is. It's like, so you're not making the decision on data. I'm not making the decision on data. We're all just kind of going, hey, how good do we? It's just a conversation about, I think I'm this good at work and you think I'm this good. Should we meet somewhere in the middle? Yeah, call it 3.5 out of 5, and you'll get 5% of your bonus.
What's interesting is I think that they don't want the accountability. I shouldn't say they. Collectively, the employer doesn't want the accountability to have to figure out what those metrics are and also maintain that level of regularity for the employee, right? Like, if we don't have any metrics that we're measuring on, then it's easier for us to say, oh, we need you to do this, take one for the team. Whereas if we both have that, we're saying, okay, if we're deviating from these metrics, then there should be something that I'm getting out of this, or some sort of understanding. I think there's a level of accountability that a lot of employers don't want for themselves, which I think is really something to be assessing when you're thinking about that accountability piece, or how you're doing this. Is this adds great stability on both parts to understand what those expectations are, apart from how do I feel like you're doing today.
Yeah, and well, I'm like the thing that me and Emily talk about all the time is mutual lifetime value. So, how much value do you give your employees, and how much value do your employees give you? And to measure the ratio of that metric is really important to figure out what the balance is.
Yeah.
And I think employee lifetime value as a metric is really important and massively underused, because in a world where you might not have individual performance data on every single employee, if you can start looking at collective employee lifetime value and in turn employer lifetime value, you can start to have a sense of what the performance of the company is doing and how it's linked to actually how you're reimbursing and treating your employees, which is what we're all about in terms of creating equitable relationships between the two parties. But it goes back to your point, right? You've kind of got to design your workplace better to capture this stuff. Like, you can't just sit there and say, can't do it. It's really hard. It's like, no, it's going to take time, and it's going to take time, effort, and it might not be easy, but it's got to be done, because if it isn't, then why are we all here? It doesn't make sense. You can't just be there for someone to say you can or you can't. And I go back to that TikTok that went viral a couple of weeks ago, where there was a woman being let go by 2 HR reps on a Zoom call, and she was like, "Show me why I'm not performing. Tell me why I'm not performing." And they couldn't do it because A, they weren't her line manager, and B, they didn't have the data to back it up. So, like, quite rightly, she goes, like, "How dare you tell me that I'm not performing? You know, there's all these unknown considerations which you've not even mentioned, and you're not even still telling me what level of performance I'm achieving." So it's about designing the workplace to be able to capture that stuff. And, sales teams have done it. Sales teams have done it because it's easy.
Yeah.
Marketing team do it. It was really difficult, and now it's a bit easier because of the internet. So it's like, it's possible. Teams that were, if you go back into, we're running out of time here, but if you go back to last century, evaluating the performance of TV adverts is nigh on impossible. We'll just put a Hot Wheels advert out there and hope that, we sell more little tiny cars as a result. It's like, there's no tangible metric to link those two things together, other than how many adverts did we do and what was our turnover that year? And you're like, well, it looks like it's working. Technology enables you to have way more of that insight, as you guys at Want to Do know, right? Like, if you have the right platform in there that evaluates human behavior, then that's way better than someone saying, good job, kid.
Well, and the key is you have to be able to use it in a meaningful way and get buy-in, right? If you're just capturing all sorts of data and you're not doing anything with it, or you're not transparent about what you're doing with it, it's so incredibly harmful.
Yeah.
You have to have the integrity piece behind it.
Totally. And with that, we're gonna end today's stream. I was gonna tease next week's topic, but I don't know what next week's topic is. Do you know what next week's topic is? If not, we'll just
ask you about that after this. Longtime friend of the show, Teresa, talked about toxic workplaces. So she had asked that we cover that. I don't remember the specific nuance. I have to go back and look at it. But I think that that's the topic for next week is getting more into what really is toxicity, what does that look like, and how do we do a better job at squashing it.
I love that. That is a great topic. So next week, HR Breakfast USA presents something about toxic working environments. Lovely stuff.
Thank you, Teresa. We will go back and read right now.
That is very good. Thank you. Thank you for everyone that's commented on today. We've had Alex, we've had Harrison enter into the chat. Lovely stuff. And everybody who was just viewing at home silently, that's also fine. In the UK, it's a holiday, so I wasn't expecting too many people to come in and chat, but a few people might just be watching it whilst having a glass of gin and tonic in the sunshine here in the UK. I know, it's what I should be going to do now, but I'll probably end up doing more gardening. Anyway, Callie, any last thoughts before we go?
No, thank you for the great conversation. And yeah, if this deck is damaged and you can't give it to someone else, I would happily take that off your hands.
Well, one is going to wing its way over to Minnesota very soon, or Fargo, but we don't want to give out Callie's very specific address. You can give me your address after it. But yes, like I say, these cards, we are giving them out. We are using them as part of delivering workshops. So if you're interested, just drop me a note about the cards and we can get some out to you. As Callie just did then. Get me a deck of those cards. And
I am shameless. Give me
A free-
faith.
Callie's getting a free deck because she put me on the spot on a live broadcast, and I couldn't say no because I'd look like Scrooge. And with that, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, we wish you a great week of HRiness. We will see you very soon.